Good, okay.
And we're live.
All right, close this out. All right, so I think everyone got an agenda. There's a sign-in sheet running around. And so we're back this week to look at some counter proposals. And then, I know you all have some counters on, compensation, and we have some counters as well.
Okay.
So,
What would you like to start with?
I guess,
Start with,
so
why
let's
don't you start?
start with something simple. I know last time we passed the hand proctoring language. Were
Yeah.
you guys able to look at that?
Yep, we're good with
Okay.
that.
That'll be a quick, easy TA. That is article and instructional contract 3.5.1. That was where there was a typo with the proctor testing and grammatically in a strange spot, and we just corrected that. Oh, I only TA'd one. Sorry, I'll TA the other.
I just put a thing for us.
All right. We also, I thought it'd be good to work through the grievance language. I think we're gonna just go ahead and accept everything that
Okay.
was done last time, including the
Like the form?
form.
Okay.
So I have extra copies. I don't know if we wanna just run through that real quick and make sure we're on the same. I had it marked from last time, so I don't know if you want me to, how you wanna do it.
You have 2 copies?
I have the copy that you walked through last time, and then I just have some blank ones.
Okay, let's do the blank one.
Okay, and then we'll
to
just
verify
make sure as we go.
This is all just one pack.
Yeah, I have a third one. I
Okay.
figured it's the same from before. I
Right.
don't think, I've got an extra just in case.
All right.
All right, so what we're looking at are the June 6th proposals, and we'll hopefully TA them today.
Okay.
So 25.1.2 TA.
Correct.
And then 25.2.1. So we would TA and employees,
Correct.
strike the office, but we would not include based on school board policy or including just cause based on school board policy. So that last part would just
correct.
keep current language. All right, then 25.2.4 refers to HCTA and strike teacher.
Yes.
25.2.5, we would add and any. And then strike teachers and put instructional.
Correct.
We would not include the new 25.2.6. That would just not be included.
Got it.
And then in 25.3.1, we would put H in front of HCTA.
Correct.
We would not include the pre-grievance and,
Correct.
but we would strike member of the association staff and include representative assigned by HCTA.
Correct.
25.3.2, we would add H to HCTA, strike member of the association staff and include representative assigned by HCTA.
Correct.
And then, all right, this next one,
And then you put no for 25.3.
I think we said we would say an employee. So the first sentence on 25.3.3,
Got it. Yep.
and then the rest of the blue is no.
Correct. Okay.
So there's a small TA and then none of the new language. All right, in 25.4.1, we would not strike or add, so we would just, on 25.4.1,
We're leaving
it
as
would
is.
just, we would just say keep original.
Correct.
Keep
Okay.
original contract language for 25.4.1.
That is correct.
All right, 25.4.2, we would TA capitalizing agreement.
Yep.
25.4.4, we would say, we would TA the form to be used in filling grievance and filing a grievance. Grievance form is provided in appendix B of this agreement. Strike the rest. $25.4.7, we would add in the number 30 and say work instead of school days.
Correct.
25.4.8, strike members of the administration or instructional personnel and just say other board employee.
Yes.
25.4.9, we would just make a slight correction there to upon request. Okay, and 25.5.2, we would add this to say a grievance may be withdrawn at any time during any step of the process, period. A grievance may be amended prior to level 2 upon written agreement of HCTA and HCPS.
Correct.
Right, and then in 25.6.1,
Can you hold 1 second?
oh,
I read that.
sorry, okay, it's a level 2, and then we would put
Upon
by
written agreement.
upon written agreement of HCTA, HCPS.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure I was putting on this copy as well.
Mhm, mhm. Should just made a copy of this, but oh well. All right, 25.6.1, we agreed to strike starting at no grievance. And then strike 25.6.2 because those are repeated language. All right, and then 25.7.1, a correction to section, it should be 25.6. But 24,
Mhm.
so just a little note there, 25.6. Strikes failed to solve and include is not resolved with degree of satisfaction. And then we would update school to work days. And then in the last sentence, strike may make, but include issues. So before a principal or immediate supervisor issues a written disposition of an adverse decision of concerning a grievance, they must confer with their regional superintendent.
Perfect.
And then 25.8.1, we're including the number 10 for 10 work days, striking school. And then same there in that part of that bottom sentence, just inserting the number 10 and clarifying work rather than school. And then same on the next page, with the continuation. All right, 25.8.5, we would TA this where it says, striking he and putting they enter the hearing room. And then we would add, the association shall have the right to follow up with its own questions to any witness.
Yes.
Okay. We would TA 25.8.7 to say, all hearings held at level 2 shall be in closed session, period. We would just strike the rest and not add anything. All right, 25.9.1, we would say the grievance, striking aggrieved person, includes the number 15 for work day instead of school day. And again, down there with towards the bottom, within 5 work days rather than school. And then that last part, within 5 work days after the 15 work days in which the superintendent should have responded.
Right.
It makes sense when you read all together. All right, and then 25.9.2, we would not include that last part. We would keep the current contract language. And we have a note that the board is committed to working on that scheduling. All right, 25.9.3. There's a tiny little
Oh, so where
correction
is
there.
it?
I know, facts rather than facts. 25.9.4, we would just strike staff person, it just the association shall submit.
And that's
And facts, yep. 25.9.5, striking they and just say both parties shall also be provided.
Mhm.
All right. 25.9.7, so we would keep the language, but we are going to add in that new D, which I guess would be, it would be A, or it would be D. A, B, C, D. It's a new D.
New D, that's correct,
So everything else above stays the same.
correct.
Just gonna circle this. So we would add a new D, the association or grievant or designee and the superintendent or designee shall each have 5 minutes for rebuttal. And then, we would say the association. So we
I
had,
think it was the
supposed to kind of
superintendent
switch.
and, oh, you want to flip flop
right?
Oh, right,
Because our
because
goal
we're-
was to
yeah,
flip
yeah,
flop it. So we wanted to say
the
the
association.
association
Correct.
and superintendent or designee. Or it was the association, grievant or designee, and superintendent or designee shall each have 2 minutes for closing. So we're basically
Putting changing
and the
association
association
staff
grievant?
person to association grievant or designate.
Yeah,
Got it.
correct. And then, we would not make the changes to that last one. Correct. The board render's decision. All right, 25.10.2 within 10 work days instead of school days. (25.10.3), same thing here, 10 work days instead of school days. 25.10.4, no changes. Correct. Keep the current. 25.11.1, we would just insert the number 10 and then make a correction in the last sentence from him to them. And then also in that next section there, just adding in the numbers 10. 25.11.2, this agreement instead of the agreement.
Yeah.
And then 25.11.3, rather than the teacher, it would be the association and board. I think that's it.
Yep.
And then, we will TA the form I brought last time. I brought an extra.
All right,
I think the one in there might not have been, I think that might have been our old one.
okay,
Yeah, got it. Sorry.
oh, that's all right.
Hey, just a point of order for everyone here that when we say TA, that's tentative agreement. It's tentative only because it's got to go to ratification and a vote of the bargaining units.
Thanks for that clarity.
I don't know if everyone knows that.
No, that's a really
That's a
good
good
point. You gonna go through these and sign them, or you want to do it later?
We could, well,
Do you see what I'm saying?
I've got yours and you've got mine.
Right.
So
Right.
we're good.
Okay,
I'll sign
want
next
to make
to
sure, all right. One new there.
Yes. Um, So so what we also did is we have a counter on the comp time.
Okay.
Maybe like. This packet also includes like other ESP contract language and we can look at it because we haven't really settled on it or touched base on it, so we can just walk through it and it's just kind of a refresher, if you will. All right, so we know that, we know that last time the board countered with just completely striking comp time and just having, overtime or folks to be paid. And I think this is like we said, it's a great move in the right direction because we need to make sure our folks are being compensated. And not just left with tons and tons of comp time, and follow on that. So what we're countering here is we want to try to mirror what is going on with HSEF. So
Yeah.
we tried to include some language here that is from their contract.
Okay.
And we thought it was good here, so we're looking at 6.2.1, and we mirrored this in the paraprofessional part. After completion of the work, the number of hours earned shall be recorded on a form to be maintained at each work site. We know that there's a school board form,
Mhm.
so we want to try to just really enforce that because it's a good form and we should have consistency. And then, with the exception of compensatory time earned after June 1 of each year, accumulated unused comp time must be utilized prior to the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. So, my understanding with HSCF, if you earn that comp time after June 1st, it's kind of hard to, if you're trying to use prior time. And then, of course, the time not utilized shall be paid to the employee at the end of the fiscal year in which it was earned in accordance with the Fair Labor Standards Act. And hours shall be calculated to the nearest 1/10 or 6 minutes of an hour for determining hours worked for pay or comp time purposes. And then we did add a part here. We understand that there's all this prior comp time.
Correct.
So we made a proposal here for comp time accumulated prior to July 1, 2024 shall not be eligible for pay. However, employees shall retain this time and may utilize it in lieu of sick or personal.
Okay.
So we're trying to do something where it's not being wiped, but we understand that, trying to go back many years.
Okay.
And then we did some slight changes in 6.2.2 where we talk about paraprofessional. We wanted to be inclusive, to be sure that this is paraprofessional unit employees, not just those that are titled para. And we also are proposing that we include registered nurses on this. We know that Mr. Gibson shared with us that fact sheet,
Yep.
but it's permissive. And it says that they may be exempt from that. We're proposing that they're included because we know, we've heard from our nurses that they are picking up a lot of extra work, due to vacancies, so.
Okay. No, understood.
And then it's the same language in the rest of that. If you want to read it, we can, but we just
Back there.
mirrored, yeah.
Okay.
And then for 9.3.3, this is the next page. I know the board had proposed some striking of a lot of this, but since we're still trying to retain the ability to earn comp time, we just said employees rather than just clerical.
Mhm.
Everything else would remain.
Okay.
On page 45, I know the board, we included 17 here because it was just all printed on the same page, but on 18.2.2, again, the board had proposed kind of striking all this language about comp time for the voluntary work at the annual open house. But what we would like to counter with is that the comp time can be granted or they're paid for those 2 hours of work.
Okay.
And then this is just a reminder that we did propose in 17.20, this new 17.20, in accordance with the statute, that option for payout of accumulated sick leave. So that's just a reminder there, because I don't think we have visited that. And then the rest of the pages are language that's already been proposed, so it's just there in your packet that we can, address it, whether we're going to do something for the proposal on professional development. We proposed some language for nurses with some garments and maintaining their training in 19.5. And then I know in our kind of what we're working on in our compensation package includes health insurance, but it's just some clarifying there in 24. And then the last few pages with the supplements, those are just kind of placeholders depending on what we agree to there. I know we need to strike those bookkeeper folks because those are not our folks. We had a proposal for micro-credential pay for professional development. And then what I did here, we can relook at these job codes. I didn't have time to, has to do with the ESE supplement and the regrading. So I just kind of have a placeholder here depending on where we land on the regrading for ESPs. It's just mirrored language there.
Okay.
And then we could include those
I
positions.
don't think if we would include that because
Okay.
if we agree, then their job description would be changed and it would be
Okay.
rated on that job description. So
Okay.
I don't know that it would go in the contract, but
Okay.
understood that we want to
Mhm.
codify it.
That's fine, yeah. And then that's it. So that's kind of the placeholder there.
All right, well, we will look
Right.
over this during pockets.
Yeah. The other thing too, and I didn't make copies of it, but we can go over maybe later, the list, there was a lot too that was also proposed in the instructional.
Mhm.
And then what we can do is I can make copies up during caucus, or we can just kind of walk through what was handed out before.
Okay.
But I will hand it over to you now.
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, get situated. Do I have copies? I'm ready. Great. For your prefaces,
Okay.
I think we need to reset.
Mhm.
And I want to see if we can keep an open mind,
Yep,
and then let me just explain our rationale and kind of go from there.
for
Okay.
sure.
right.
Absolutely.
So this is the instructional, should have put instructional, but the one that does,
That's instructional unit.
oh, it says it up here. Look at
Okay,
this part.
okay.
So, and then this one is the ESP.
Got it.
So one of each for everybody. Yeah, it's in there. I just want to start putting it in the little thing as well.
Oh, that's okay. And then, you do this one too.
All right, everybody has one? Okay. So I wanted to start.
They're still getting the
They still getting
instructional.
it? Okay.
Oh, I think they got the ESP.
Got it. All right. So what I wanted to do is go through both of them. I think, and really it's more to just codify what we have gotten super close on.
Yep.
Okay. So when we look at, the first one, the instructional one, we have, you know, and obviously this is going to mirror some of what we've already passed across before. Okay. So number one, we are proposing that all employees, instructional unit employees, move one step on their respective salary schedules. Number two, we are proposing that all employees, at the top step of their respective salary schedule, to receive a one-time top step payment of $2,000. And all of these payments we're going over, these are not bonuses. These are payments / supplements to your salary, which then would count as FRS, count as your annual salary, and for your highest 5, all that good stuff, okay? And be taxed as such.
Okay.
Number 3, and this is new. This was not.
Danielle, just one clarify, am I?
Mhm. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the top step payment, because that is the only payment they receive, that does count as FRS. We'll verify
Okay.
this next one that I'm
So
going
1
over.
and 2.
1 and 2 are definitely FRS.
Got it.
And we'll verify the rest.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you. All right, number 3. This is for all instructional employees to receive a $2,000 supplement to their base pay for the 24-25 school year. Eligible employees must be current active employees at the time of payment. We are proposing that time of payment be the first paycheck of the school year. That would be a heavy lift because we would obviously have to do a lot of work to get that ready. Obviously, it will depend on our timeline as far as when we do come to an agreement, when we do ratify all those good things. But that would be paid on the first paycheck. And right now, that first paycheck that's on August 9th is scheduled to be a one-day paycheck. So,
And again, the goal of this one is also for it to be part of base pay and FRS eligible, or is this is a
it
different
is
one?
definitely intended to be a supplement, so it will be taxed as a supplement, not as a bonus. And Ms. Johnson's gonna verify whether it would be FRS. Okay. All right. Number 4, obviously, we've talked about the licensed school, the licensed student services employees. So we have all this here that we had already really tentatively agreed upon, but we know it's all one big compensation package, so we know it's all still fluid, of $750. Number 5, for the SLPs who hold their Cs, to be paid a $1,500 supplement. The ESE instructional employees, including school psychologists and all instructional at ESE centers, to receive a $1,500 supplement. Our national board certified teachers, where's Mr. Peacock when we need him? So the national board certified teachers, $1,000 for doing their approved mentoring. And then on the backside, for the national board certified teachers who are teaching currently in Renaissance or Transformation, to receive a payment of one-time supplement of $4,500. And then for the advanced degree supplements, and they are still coming in because word has gotten out that this is something that we're looking at, to now be eligible for all advanced degrees, regardless of your certification area. And then, of course, we've talked about the employee-only health insurance and the fingerprint monitoring fee, which where would we be without putting that on there?
It's in the contract.
It is, I know. Probably need to take that. All right.
It's okay. It's just a good reminder.
Correct. And then ESPs, again, number 1 would be the step on their respective salary schedules. Number 2 is a top step payment of $1,000. Number 3, all ESP employees to receive a $2,000 supplement for the 24-25 school year. That would be the same as instructional. Number 4, this is what we have talked about with the regrading of our ESE instructional support employees, would still advance a step as well as be regraded. And normally when we look in the contract, when you're regraded, it's level for level. So this would be a step plus the regrade. Registered nurses, same concept. They would get their step plus a regrade. LPNs, a step plus the regrade, and then the full cost of employee-only health insurance and the fingerprint monitoring fees. Let me explain some of the rationale and also some of the numbers. Okay. All right. Our numbers, good thing is that we're in hiring season, so numbers keep picking up a little bit, which is good. For your free bargaining units, for instructional ESP and para bargaining units, we currently have a count of 16,556 employees. What we look at, we know that we've come already with approximately $27 million with our previous proposals before
This is
today.
All 3 units.
Correct.
Okay. You said 27.
Yes. Okay. And confirm, but this is what we have, that you have brought an ask of approximately $58.3 million. Okay. So when you look at that, we're approximately $31 million apart. Okay. So when we look at that, this supplement for the 24-25 school year, and that's what we're here to bargain, the 24-25 school year. And I know we think like, but what will it be the next year and the next year? Well, good thing is we keep coming back here every year. So we will obviously, and we've been trying to come back earlier and earlier. So employees do know what it will be before the next year. But for the 24-25 school year, that additional one-time supplement for all employees in your bargaining units of $2,000 is approximately $40 million in compensation that we are bringing today as additional compensation on top of the 27 million. So we had 27 million. We're bringing an additional $40 million for our employees for for a total compensation package for 24-25, not including insurance, of $67 million. Okay. We think this is important. I mean, we want to work to get the money in employees' hands. We know we all collectively have other goals that we want to work towards for this year. And I think it's important to remember that we do bargain annually, right? I think we've kind of gotten so focused on what's recurring, what's not recurring, and I understand that. But I also think we have to talk about the compensation that's being given to employees. And $67 million is significant compensation to bring to the table. We wanted to look at a few of our groups that we sometimes talk about. So the top of the scale employees, right? So if we look at someone who's at the top of the scale, instructional, let's start with that. We know that we've proposed a $2,000 top step payment. In addition, these employees would have a $2,000 supplement for an increase of $4,000 for the 24-25 school year. Okay. Another group I just want to highlight, because there's a lot of pink shirts. So I want to highlight SLPs, okay? And not specifically all student services, but I'm going to take one just to kind of put it out there. Now, we know because we worked really hard on that unique salary schedule last year. Stop looking at Ms. Adams. So we worked really hard on that unique salary schedule. So I can't tell you exactly, like everybody's step's a little different, right? It's not the same like instruction. It's not as uniform.
Right.
But on average, let's say that a step is approximately $1,335-ish. Okay, some are higher, some are lower. An SLP, they would be receiving for the 24-25 school year, their step. In addition, we've done a lot of good work over the last few weeks talking about the supplements. So an SLP, let's talk about an SLP that does meet all these qualifications. The licensure supplement would be $750 for an SLP with their licensure. An SLP with their Cs would be receiving a $1,500 supplement for the 24-25 school year. An SLP, any of SLP, would be receiving the ESE supplement of $1,500. And in addition, we are bringing that for the 24-25 school year, that obviously all employees, but an SLP would receive a $2,000 supplement. That is total compensation for supplements for that SLP of $5,750. In addition, they would be receiving their step, which on average, some would be higher, some lower, of $1,335, for total increase for that SLP this year of $7,085. Now we know that this is a high critical shortage area, but that is significant. And it is progress, and it is compensation in our employees' hands. So I wanted to bring those things up because I think I understand the concept of base pay, but we are here for the 24-25 school year, and we are offering a total compensation package of $67 million for our employees in your bargaining units. And we think that that can't be that significant. So we just wanted to bring that up. Okay.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that I agree. We have come a long way in the last probably year or 2 years, right? You know, COVID brought so much fear and uncertainty.
Yes.
A lot of it real, and a lot of it was, you know, we had to work through and learn, okay, maybe we adjust on that. We weren't quite on point. And I think that's how I've always seen it, is that we are closed. And I know we get very much in the rabbit hole of recurring and non-recurring. So that was our thought too. It's like, we're there. And especially the progress that we made last year. And when we look historically at kind of what HCTA has done with the district to work through those tough times, right? Like foregoing a step and then taking that one-time payment and then doing it again, just getting the step and kind of seeing where the district ended up and that things were okay. And so I think that we'll have a good discussion with our group on this.
Okay.
That's what I can say right now. I mean, I think
Okay.
you understand, we've said it loud and clear, how much, how important it is base pay and the concerns about, you know, what happens in the next year.
Right.
Because, you know, we think we make that gain and then, you know, then we are back to square one, so, see, I have a note here.
Point of clarity about the ESP supplement.
Yes.
Is that also would be paid earlier? I didn't know if you mentioned that in the.
I may not have, but that is our goal, is to pay that supplement on that first, August 9th paycheck.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Just clarification on the instructional proposal number 4. I think when we had proposed this, we made a mistake. We left the occupational therapists out, and then we decided to just do all student services that are eligible, and the SLPs got left out again on number 4, so.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's just, that was kind of, you know, I think they're meant to be included,
They
correct?
are,
Okay.
and they are costed out as being included.
Yes, we figured, I think that was our rationale in just being,
That's why they're on the.
let's be inclusive of
Yeah.
student services,
Yeah.
because it is all those. folks,
Absolutely.
So, okay,
The other ones, and I don't have clarity, and I don't know if you have any audiologists in the room. And I don't even, if they have a state licensure, someone had mentioned that as well. So they would also be included in that.
Okay.
So it would be SLPs and audiologists that I believe we should put in there as well.
is there are there some groups in student services that would not be eligible at all? Because that was why we were saying, like, why don't we just,
Yes, there are some,
say
because
all
some,
student services?
not all student services have these licensures. My understanding is that some have certification, and they don't have the state licensure. That is my understanding.
Okay, so is there a problem by saying, you know, eligible employees who are licensed student service employees?
No, we can put it in.
Okay.
You mean instead of putting each one?
Yeah, because that's the fear of,
The only thing that would be, the certified behavior analysts. I just would want to make sure that we're not losing that. And that's not, some of them are guidance counselors, some of them are, it kind of goes across the whole board. So that is one that I just want to make sure that we don't lose anybody in there. But
Yes,
yes, we would
that's our
say
goal,
licensed student services and personnel, and then maybe we have an addendum or
and
that
we can
says
even
what
put
it is.
in parentheses, you know, to include, but
To
not limited
include.
to.
Yeah, that's.
That way we list everyone we know, but in case,
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah,
We
and
wanna
they
leave-
don't all have it. Like, for example, there are definitely many guidance counselors that have their guidance counselor certification with the state, but might not have a licensure.
And then there's a question, in this concept, you know, we spent a lot of work on the student services schedule. And, you know, because of those, the steps are not equal and it kind of accelerates in the middle and then, the steps get less. When we moved all of our folks and we made adjustments to the instructional scale, you know, our student services that moved to the new student services scale that had we're getting the master supplement because that was not included. And then as you recall, we had that $1,000 supplement for those top few steps last year. In this concept, would the board be open to continuing that?
We're open to
Maintain.
countering, with-
Okay,
but yes,
got it. All right.
because that would be for the 24-25 school year.
Correct, yeah, and again, the concept there was to maintain that
Understood.
separation, because those folks that had master's degree at the top of I think it was in the 198 student services were actually gonna be making less hourly,
Right.
so that was the
Yep.
goal there.
No, I
so.
do remember
Okay,
that.
all right, thank you for that clarity. I don't necessarily have any more questions.
Nor do I.
I think we
Okay.
can, it's 11 right now. In the past, we've we've done like a 2-hour caucus. Because
11:15, yep. So,
you wanna just let's come back at 1,
and then if you need more time, just let us
that
know.
way we can work,
Can do work.
lunch, and then
Work
if,
lunch.
we'll say 1 o'clock, and if something's going on, we need more time, we'll be in
We'll
touch.
work through what you tasked us as well.
Perfect, okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We wrote this out on the card.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so thank you for bearing with us while we're putting some finishing touches. We had a lot of discussion about about thinking, about where we've come, how far we've come and where we're at this moment. I think we also spent a lot of time talking about, again, the recurring fund, what's gonna be in base pay. And we talked a lot about, these one-time payments. And, the kind of the risk or the feeling that folks have about, what about next year? What about next year? And we recognize that both sides are feeling that, right? So where's that uncertainty resting? Is it gonna be primarily with the employer or primarily with the employees? So our proposal is we try to look at ways to balance that. So we'll walk you through the concept and see where you might land. Okay. Back. We know if you need more.
All right, thank you.
These are extra. This is the ESP one we're passing. All right. And then I'll pass to you the instructional. We didn't print a lot of salary schedules because we figured let's discuss what we've got and then we can get to where we think, if we're close, then we can start printing schedules. So I'll walk through the ESP proposal first. So we looked at that idea of, okay, this $2,000 one-time payment and how could we utilize that to give some more security to employees. And so what we're proposing is lessening the one-time payment a bit and trying to put that into the schedule. Now, we're proposing staying with the current schedule, so we're not gonna do a whole revamp of the schedule. And what we're proposing in number 1 is that all employees levels 1 to 21 should advance 3 levels, which is 4.5%. And number 2 would show where employees on level 22 would advance 2 levels, which is 3%. But they would also receive a one-time, that's supposed to be $400, I had a typo there. The number is the correct one.
Got it.
Employees on level 23 would advance 1 level, which is 1.5%, and they would receive $800. Typo. Got it. And then those that are at the top of their respective pay grade who don't receive a step would receive a one-time $2,200 payment. So we kind of figured a step is around 400-ish, depending on where you are, because it is based on percentage. So we were trying to do something for those folks that, this is always the issue, right? You don't get the step movement, so you're trying to use some of that one-time payment there. Rather than a $2,000 one-time payment, we're proposing that all employees would receive a $500 supplement. And our proposal here is that this would be for this year and the following year, or the 24-25 and the 25-26. And I'll tell you why we came up with this. It was some of that uncertainty, right? The one-time payments become, what if I lose it next year? So we were putting it out there, maybe we could get a 2-year agreement on the one-time payment alone. And what we're proposing for the ESPs is that $500 payment would be split, and one portion would be paid in the first semester paycheck on that paycheck that is short, and then the other half would be paid in the second semester when a lot of our folks have a short paycheck for equalized pay. And then I think the rest is the same. The ESP employees would also be regraded by 1 pay grade in addition to the step movement above, and the regrade is 5%. The LPNs would advance their pay grade, but would advance 2 levels. So that would be a 5% and a 3% to be 8%. And same with the registered nurses. And then the rest is the insurance and fingerprinting.
Is your intent, just so I'm making sure,
Mhm.
because 7 and 8 is written a little different?
Yes.
Or actually 6, 7, 8? Is the intent for that to be the same as what we said before? Just to clarify things, or is this different?
So it's a little different,
Okay.
right? So they're being regraded, but
Mhm.
they would get 2 steps instead of 1. Because we were kind of looking this in percentage realm, right? That scale is kind of set up with each grade is about 5% if you're regraded, and a level is 1.5%. And I think right where the nurses are, I know there's part of the scale where it goes to 2, but I think those folks,
Yeah,
the
that was-
RNs and the LPNs are in the 1.5% range.
Yeah, and then, yeah, because right there where it says for number 6, the
Mhm.
eligible ESP employees,
Mhm.
the between those pay grades is 2% currently.
The pay grades? I thought all the pay grades were 5. Okay, okay.
So you want to look at that.
All right, well, we're agreeing to the
But-
regrade, but
right.
we're also
Correct.
proposing the
Correct.
the same step movement that is proposed in 1 through
Got it.
1 through 3.
Okay.
So no changes to the schedule, but trying to take that one-time payment and make it a little more, I don't know, that our folks can count on it. And that's been consistent for us, right? Recurring money, but also through our surveys, you know, folks being able to count on that. And like we discussed, the one-time payment, one time, when it says one time, it's, well, what about the next year? What about the next year? All right, on the instructional side, we did something similar, and I didn't print schedules because I think we gotta get through and see where we land.
Okay.
So what we're proposing is that, number 1 says all instructional salary schedules agreed upon shall be updated and included in the appendix. What we're proposing is taking that $2,000 and put 1,000 on each step, and then using the remaining 1,000 of the payment, just like you had proposed in the first paycheck. So if we can agree to that, then we can look at the schedules and how they look, but we would take the 1,000, and so I did print 1 copy if you want to see, but what that would mean is right now on the E and the P schedule that start at 47.5, it would go to 48.5, and then so on and so forth. So we're not changing the steps. We're just $1,000 to every level. And then the step movement, employees in the instructional bargaining unit will be credited with their 1 year and advance 1 step. Employees at the top of their respective salary schedule will receive a one-time top step payment of $2,000. And we did want to have a little discussion about that longevity payment and timing of that payment, how would it be paid, but you know, we can talk about that. And then number 4, all instructional employees shall receive a $1,000 supplement for the 24-25 and 25-26 school year to be paid in the first semester paycheck. We talked about that August, maybe we can plug that in there. And then the rest of the language remains the same. Eligible employees must be current active employees at the time of payment. Number 5 is the student services salary we were talking about, and this is the $750 supplement. We just said student services on the salary schedules that hold their licensure. And then we had a question, because we know we talked about the certified behavior analysts. Are they licensed, or they have a license? Because that we can add them back in.
Way I understand it, but
Okay.
I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in
Okay.
that, so we want to clarify.
Because that's why we kind of bold and underline that this is intended for those folks that hold the
Right,
licensure.
I think we know what we mean by this and
Okay.
just how to find the language so that we
Okay.
include all those that
Yes.
we know that we mean.
Yeah, I think everything else remains the same then, right? Well, we did back in, add back in number 6. This is the effective July 1, and eligible employees who are on steps 20 through 25 of the student services salary schedule will be paid a one-time $1,000 supplement.
Are those employees that are moving to 20 through 25? Or that are currently on 20 to 25?
Those it would be, yeah, the folks, so they get their step movement,
Right,
all the steps, since all the steps will be increasing $1,000, we still have to maintain that $1,000
right.
for those steps. So employees that move and are on 20 through 25 would get the $1,000 payment.
So after the movement.
Yes.
So someone that's on 19 right now,
Mhm.
would they get the $1,000 payment?
Yes,
Yes, okay, just want to verify
that's
that.
how we did it last year, yeah. It's to make up for that, because what happens without it, that the disparity between the hourly rate on the instructional
Right.
and the student services because of the master supplement.
Okay.
And all of our student services have to have their masters. And then, yeah, the CCCs are there, the, ESE supplement we didn't change anything there. And then, of course, our national board, 9 and 10, and the advanced degree 11, insurance 12, fingerprint 13. So hopefully that concept makes sense, what we're getting at. It's to take the one-time money and try to split the difference. To try to get something on those salary schedules for base pay. So we're making gains towards,
Mhm.
you know, base pay being increased. So it's a recruiting thing, right? When people open up the contract or research Hillsborough, they see, okay, starting pay is
Mhm.
higher. They may not know about all these extra supplements and one-time payments.
Okay.
So that's the concept we're going for.
Did you cost it out?
Um,
How much recurring money this is. No,
I mean,
okay.
I guess if you-
We can do
we're
that.
trying
I
to
just
have,
wanted to,
have it, if
Yeah.
you will, a little more on the non-instructional side with 3 steps and the $500, so, but a smaller group of folks. And again, we're just trying to get those low paid folks, right? Up to 17, 14, because equalized pay continues to be the issue. So it's probably a little more on the recurring side for the ESPs, but the non-recurring and the $2,000 payment for the instructional, the goal is to just split that. Put half of it into the scale and half of it into the one-time payment conceptually.
okay, understood.
Okay,
All right, I understand that. And then, we had looked over the comp time language.
okay,
Again, I don't have a printer here, so I'd have to just kind of read it off to you, what we would
Okay.
like to counter. And we still truly feel that we need to be moving away from comp time and towards overtime, okay? But we understand what you're proposing, and we just have a couple tweaks that we would like to,
Okay.
put out there. All right, in 6.2.1,
Mhm,
in your very last paragraph,
mhm,
we'd like to lead in with, documented and approved.
Okay.
Comp time accumulated prior to July 1. Okay. I think sometimes, employees are unsure, like if they, it has to be that your supervisor asked you to do this work after hours and you did that. It can't just be that you stayed after to do that
Right.
work. So we
Right,
just
right,
want to
right.
make sure that that's
Agreed.
clear.
understood.
Right. In 6.2.2,
Mhm,
we're not in a position yet to agree to this. We are researching how many hours our registered nurses did of overtime so that we can
Okay.
make sure that this is something that we can consider.
Okay,
Right, so that's on hold.
just the part of including registered nurses?
Correct.
Would you be okay with still the unit employees? Or, like, so the title of
title,
6.2
yeah,
says
sure.
unit employees, and then it says in the case,
Yes,
cases where paraprofessional unit employees, and then we said including registered nurses.
Yeah.
So you would just strike including
including
registered,
registered nurses, correct.
okay? Maybe we should put maybe we should include registered nurses in that next little parentheses, except for DAH interpreters and part-time OT.
It's all about whether, right now, obviously registered nurses are exempt from overtime. Now, when they do extra work, they still are, our practice has been that they are getting their additional time, straight
Okay,
time.
okay.
So it's just whether or not we're willing to
Got it.
let it be permissible that they are not exempt from overtime.
Correct.
So that part, we're
Okay.
just not in a
Okay.
position yet to make that
So
decision.
we'll just hold on this
Yep.
for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so the concept of paying out comp time at the end of the year,
mhm,
right? The concern is that comp time to be paid out should be for work that is done outside of someone's workday.
correct,
So we are proposing that if we accept this language, that we strike on page 18, the first full paragraph, paraprofessionals whose assigned teacher absorbs student from an absent teacher's class will be granted comp time for time up to 3 hours. Because if you're going to pay out comp time at the end of the year, that would be paid, you should be only paying when it's for work that's done outside of your work hours.
right,
This comp time that's being for absorbing students is not outside of work hours. So that's why we are proposing that if we're gonna pay out all comp time at the end of the year, that we strike things that are during the workday. Okay, so that is the one that we found. Going down to, this is again, the same language for paras, that was for clerical, so we want to again put that documented and approved comp time into that little paragraph right there. All right, page 22, we had already, the employee, changing that to employee was fine. All right, page 45, we are not in agreement at this time to do the 17.20.1.
okay,
All right, going back to kind of that same concept I was just talking about, 18.2.2. This is where open house, a lot of schools still, some schools do open house during the person's workday,
Mhm,
right? So that's where we want to somehow delineate that this is for open house that's after someone's work hours,
Right.
right? So we are proposing, for the second sentence, therefore, ESP employees who attend open house at the request of their supervisor will be granted, still like it better overtime, but if you want to word it that it's comp time or, you know, we'd prefer overtime, but comp for hours worked beyond their workday. You see where I'm going with that? Okay. Because if
You're
that
trying to
o-
delineate between those open houses that are taking place during the normal hours
Correct.
and those that are taking place with
Correct.
flexed hours in the evening.
Correct.
Okay.
We don't, because in the past, and I think that was our whole idea, you did open house, you just got 2 hours of comp time, right? It didn't matter what time of the day it was, when it was. Well, that doesn't help us know which one needs to be paid for at the end of the year. So if it's during the workday, you're being paid to work during that time, it wouldn't be overtime pay. Gotcha.
So just that last, therefore ESP employees who attend open house at the request of their supervisor will be granted 2 hours of comp
Comp.
time.
No, not 2 hours. It would
Mhm.
just be comp time for hours worked beyond their workday. It might be more than 2 hours. Like if they're doing open house from 4 to 8, then this support employee needs to be compensated for that. We would prefer they be compensated by the administrator requesting overtime pay, but the other option is obviously the comp time. And a lot of schools flex time.
Um, 2 hours. So we get a lot of questions about this.
Mhm.
How would you handle, because I think if an employee is missing their lunch or their break,
Mhm.
how do we, I mean, they should be paid for that, right? I mean, how do we track that? Because I think they've been given comp time in the past, even though that's,
Yeah.
it's technically during the,
Yeah.
9 to 5 workday or
Mhm.
7.5 hour workday, but it's
Mhm.
time that they should be paid,
Right.
so.
And they shouldn't be missing their lunch.
We agree. We agree.
They shouldn't be missing their lunch. So I think that's something we'll have to
Okay,
sort out, yeah, because they shouldn't be missing their lunch.
right, okay. All right, so this is a message to employees that are being asked to miss their lunch or break, that they should, I guess contact or refuse. I mean, we don't want to have people be insubordinate,
Right.
but, okay. We'll have to monitor for those and be aware so we can bring them to labor management.
Yeah, we need to, employees need a lunch and a break.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And then I know something else that came up around this, actually, this specific issue of these open houses. I guess there are some schools that are actually modifying their schedules for their flexing time without agreement, really. It's just, hey, we're gonna shift the workday.
Mhm.
And I guess I was not aware of this until today, so I just wanted to know the prevalence of that and how that process works, because I think what ends up happening, especially our hourly employees who are used to their schedule, if the schedule is suddenly shifted and now that could play into another job they may have after hours to earn extra pay, to pay their bills, so, yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on that, neither of you?
Yeah, I mean, I just can speak from my own experience that yes, a lot of times you will flex the day. And that, that when you get your pre-planning calendar in July, that on that given day, your hours on that day are 11 to whatever,
There's advance notice.
yeah, there's advance notice.
Right.
It shouldn't be with no notice. And obviously we would want employers and managers to work with employees if there's a unique circumstance, but I think that's pretty common practice. That those hours are shifted, because it's a long day if you don't.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay.
All right, okay, the next page there. 17.7.2, we are proposing that we leave it as is. Obviously, our original was to strike that. We're comfortable with it because if you look at it. Hold on.
I think it was our proposal to strike it because we wanted to,
Oh, right. And then I
Oh,
had
no,
come back
I-
wanting to strike it as well, but because it does say, these are for professional development after the workday, we can leave it as is with the comp. And that's unless there's a specific stipend offered for that workshop. And we really have no way of knowing exactly how many employees are utilizing this. And we're not in a position this year to increase the professional development. So that's where we're proposing to leave that as is.
and so no acceptance on 17.7.3, 7.4, 7.5.
Correct.
Conceptually, though, if an employee is earning their comp time and then it's paid out,
Mhm.
if they're working that and they don't use the comp time, they would ultimately get paid for that, right? So if they attended professional development after the workday and earn comp time, don't use it, they would eventually get paid if.
Correct,
used.
but if there is a stipend,
Correct.
then they
Stipend
would
would
be,
take
the
the place.
stipend would take precedent.
Yeah, they wouldn't earn comp time.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
All right, and then in 19.5, we
Mhm.
are proposing that we leave that language as is. And same with 24.1.1. Now, in the instructional, and I know I mentioned it because I didn't want to go through and say no, because that doesn't feel good. So, when we met last time with the instructional contract, I did say that we wanted to leave the contract language as is. However, we did want to, look at that coverage pay that, is currently, in the contract, it doesn't specifically say what the coverage rate will be. It just says it'll be negotiated.
Yep.
So, when we were here last, we had proposed that instead of $18 for an hour of coverage. And of course, we always have to remember that's on top of the pay, but it's you're losing that planning time. So the $18 is our current rate of pay. That's at least the sub rate. And we had proposed moving that to $20 for the 24-25 school year.
Remind me.
Oh, yep, sure, sorry. That is 3.4.6. So we had proposed that we leave the language as is,
Mhm.
however. Sorry, somewhere in there that
I know I have
says.
it somewhere.
I know, I'm sorry.
Would it be,
Hold on. Oh, you struck it. There it is.
yeah, our
Yeah.
proposal there was to just have them paid at their hourly rate. So you would probably strike everything, but instead of hourly rate, you proposed.
We're proposing you leave the language as is, where
Oh.
you had it, where you struck the rate of pay to be negotiated. The rate of pay shall be no less than the highest hourly rate for a substitute teacher. We're still proposing that we keep that, and the highest hourly rate is 18, but we're looking to go ahead for the 24-25 school year and move it to 20. So it would be 20 if you lost your planning at the secondary level for that full hour of your, conference period. And if you're missing your specials time at elementary, it'd be $10. Or this language still says comp, but some people still elect to have the pay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And I think we had already agreed, but I don't know that we actually TA'd it. Oops, sorry. Okay. We've already talked about it, the National Board Cert, the Renaissance.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I have a tab. Here it is. Okay. 6.1.4 in instructional. Is that instructional? Hold on. I might be lying to you. Not on purpose. Nope, in ESP, sorry.
Okay.
ESP contract 6.1.4.
Yep.
Originally, this was only for the 23-24 year because Renaissance was not moving forward, but now that Renaissance is moving forward this would be for the 24-25 year.
Okay. I don't have a copy of it, but I can print it.
Perfect.
I'll print that.
think that's all the language.
For the national board, for the teachers, that would be
It's in there already.
22.4.5,
Mhm.
and yeah, I do have copies of that.
Okay.
If-
And we put it in the agreement for this year? Like that's what our proposed is for the agreement,
Okay. Yeah, we had just proposed some language that it would
be in the
be
contract.
in the contract, that it would say, these national board certified teachers shall receive a one-time 1,000 annual payment, for the completion of the 10 hour of approved mentoring. Because it says that they get the bonus since it's been 1,000. And then on 22.4.8 is where we just had Renaissance Board Transformation Schools, correct, for the 4,500.
Yes, and we want to leave that just in the economic agreement and leave it just Renaissance in the contract.
And same with 22.4.5.
Mhm.
Things.
Employment paper.
Was there any thought or discussion that your team had with the approval of T payroll for school psychologists who write the psychoeducational reports after school hours?
What's interesting is we don't want to put it in the contract.
Okay,
We believe they're doing that
okay,
for the school psychologist. And I think it's where the supervisor, when she needs that, she submits it to the finance department, but we're still looking into that.
okay. If we're doing it, then
We're
don't know
doing
why
it because
wouldn't
of,
it be in contract.
well, we're doing it because of the need right now.
Okay,
And we are hoping that that need will not.
would that fall within 2.9.4?
Student services.
Vacancies, where it's, I mean, they are under the student services. So in the case of student service vacancies, that must be covered by existing staff. Staff providing coverage, in this case, a school psychologist who's writing psychoeducational reports after hours would be entitled to extra pay at their currently hourly rate, TK.
My understanding is that's why they're giving them
Got it.
the time right now.
Okay. Okay,
But it's a little flexible because it's not like they're saying, you go over and cover that school today. It's more like they're saying, I need a psych done on that student at that school.
and because we don't have staff,
Correct.
that school psychologist is covering for the
Correct.
vacancy.
That's my understanding.
Okay, we agree.
Okay.
All right. Just let me through some real quick, you just have any other questions? Any discussion about bereavement?
Yes, we are not in a position to do that at this time.
Right. Those are my questions there. And I don't think well, we'll see. If we, once we TA, if we can get to an economic agreement, we wanted to propose that language about the advanced degree, because we have the advanced degree supplements in the contract, that we would put that note there about,
Yeah, I made a
that
note
it's
to do the
retro,
same.
that
That would
it's,
be good.
they have their transcripts, so it's
Be perfect.
there.
Yeah.
And then we can look at some of these other.
Okay. And we know, like, we've talked about, originally our first proposal was to strike all the comp time.
Yeah.
And steer people towards overtime when there's
Yeah.
additional work done.
Yeah.
It's kind of an unknown cost, right? We know we're gonna
Yeah.
incur a cost there, for the work people are doing, as they should be compensated for the work they're doing. I don't think we'll know until after a year of it, that we
Right.
know really what that cost is.
Yeah,
You know?
well, and hopefully then with our proposal, whereas folks can still take comp time.
Right.
And use it, it may give us time to kind of see, right,
Mhm.
before we just completely
Right.
move there. So I appreciate that. Coming to kind of an understanding, and we can kind of, we'll wait till your feedback on the RNs
Okay.
and, kind of look at these other. Maybe looking, because I know you're proposing striking the, paras who absorb other students. We may have a counter on that,
Mhm.
just because, that does play into the, you're covering, and
Mhm.
so we'll talk about that in our
Okay.
caucus.
All right,
All right.
fair enough. Any other questions?
I don't believe I have any, and I think I
Okay.
asked the questions that came up. so,
Okay, all right, good.
Yes.
Pocket?
Yep,
All right.
you, what do we want to say? 30 minutes, or you guys need more? It's up to you. I know we took till,
Like 3:15.
that's fine, an hour, that's
Okay.
fine, okay.
All right. All right, we'll be back. All right, so we've been busy at work, and I know you know what this is like,
Yes.
because, you know, it's one thing when you're preparing to come at the start, but when you're in between and caucusing and you don't have a
Yeah.
printer and you don't have a computer, like, it's a
Yeah.
challenge, so.
On your big screen.
Oh, yeah. So we crunched a lot of numbers, we looked at a lot of different things. Finance has been working hard to cost everything out. And again, I'm trying to like reset where we're not focused completely on recurring, non-recurring, but because we do have a, you know, a cap on what we're comfortable for with recurring for the 24-25 year. However, we want to look at total compensation, and we know that we've already offered, you know, $67 million in total compensation. So what we are proposing, to make some tough decisions, we'd like to propose that on the ESP agreement, we'd like to propose that we keep the current salary schedule as is, that we move employees one step, okay? That employees, that we increase the top step payment from 1,000 to 1,500. And that all ESP employees to receive a $2,500 supplement for the 24-25 school year. Okay. And that would again be paid out on that first paycheck, which is a heavy lift, but we have the superintendent and the board and finance and HR together have all committed to making it happen. Okay. All right. Miss anything? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything there on ESP. Miss anything else new, right? Okay.
So,
All right.
I think everything else would remain then, right?
Correct,
The
yeah.
ESP regrading and the registered. and
Correct.
licensed
Correct. Yep.
Regrading.
Yep, and so wanted to make sure I was getting that off. Okay. On the instructional economic agreement, we are proposing that for the instructional salary schedule, that we, for every step, that we add $250 to every step. That we remain for the top of the salary schedule, top step payment at $2,000. That due to moving some of that money from non-recurring to recurring, that we decrease the supplement for 24-25 to $1,500. We've looked at the language that you put for student services licensure, and we really want to list them all out.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, I know it doesn't, probably we're the only ones that read it, but I really want to make sure that it's very codified, that these are all of them, and that's not to leave anyone out, but just to make sure we know exactly who it is. Okay, so we would licensed school psychologists, licensed school social workers, licensed LPs, licensed audiologists, licensed mental health clinicians, licensed OTPTs, or certified behavior analysts to be paid the $750 supplement. Okay. All right. And then getting there. All right. And then your number 6, eligible student services employees who are on steps 20 to 25 to be paid the one-time $1,000 supplement. We want to propose that as well, or agree to.
So really, on the instructional proposal, where we differ is number 1
Correct.
and number 4.
1 and 4, that is correct.
And on the ESP,
Oh, well, number 4,
Wanna-
we actually,
It's really,
well, from our
Right.
last proposal,
Correct.
right? Like,
we're
just-
not
we're just-
proposing, we don't, and, you know, we've talked about this. We're here to bargain for the 24-25 year.
Yep.
We don't feel comfortable bargaining for the 25-26 year. I would love to get to a spot where eventually we sit and we do multi-year deals, like that would be amazing. But we have several board members up for election. We're gonna have a different board and we don't feel comfortable making a decision for the 25-26 school year. So that's where we said, you had said all instructional employees to receive $1,000 supplement for 24-25 and 25-26. We are countering with all instructional employees to receive a $1,500 supplement for 24-25.
And then on ESP, are basically our 1 through 4, dealing with the steps, and then number 5, where we differ,
1 through 4,
which are, dealing with the steps. And then number
Correct.
5 is the amount of the supplement,
correct,
and everything else.
correct. And we are
Except
bringing that supplement would be 2,500 to be eligible to be paid at the beginning of the school year. If you, obviously, we're flexible on if you want to divvy that up.
Okay.
Caucus.
Well, caucus.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Because when it's not written down, I always feel like I'm not
All right, so, we had good discussion, and I think we're very close.
Okay.
So I'm gonna walk through our ESP counter.
Found it.
All right, number one, effective July 1, 2024, employees in the ESP bargaining units on levels 1 through 22 shall advance 2 levels, which would be 3% on their respective pay grade. Number two, effective July 1, 2024, employees in the ESP bargaining units on levels 23 shall advance 1 level, which is 1.5% on the respective pay grade, and receive a one-time payment of $400. And if, after this, I'll try to give you the amount of people. It's not a lot of people. We're talking on these top few steps, like around 100 people. I think there's about 96 or 98 on the top right now, and then it's just like, there's like 6 or 7 here or there.
Okay.
So we would strike number 3, since then the new number 3, which is number 4 on the paper, effective July 1, 2024, eligible ESP employees at the top of their respective pay grade or level 24 would receive a one-time top step payment of $1,900. And then number 5, all ESP employees shall receive a $2,000 supplement for the 24-25 school year. And we would like to propose that $1,000 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the first semester. We can hammer out a date. And $1,000 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the second semester.
Say one more time.
All ESPs on this is number 5 shall receive a $2,000 supplement for the 24-25 school year. $1,000 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the first semester, and $1,000 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the second semester. Again, what we're trying to go for, like we have kind of talked about, I think we're landing on that, that first paycheck being the one day, right? And then in January, we're looking to try to target that check that is short for the holiday. So we can probably figure out those payroll dates. And then for number 6, which is the ESE ESPs, these folks shall also be regraded 1 pay grade in addition to their step movement. And depending on where they are, if they got 2 steps. So it's kind of, you would apply the step movement is the way we look at it. Apply all the step movement first. Then you would regrade your ESPs 1, ESE ESPs 1 grade. And same with the registered nurses and LPNs. They would also receive their 2 steps and the regrade.
Depending on where they are, right?
Right, so again, you apply all the step
Right.
movements first for all employees, 2 steps. Or 1 step with the 400, no steps with the 1900. And then if you're an LPN, you would regrade 1 grade. If you're an RN, you would regrade 1 grade. And then leaving the health insurance and fingerprinting the same. And then of course, all employees would receive that $2,000 payment, which was number 5.
And that $2,000 payment would be separated between
Yes.
1,000 and 1,000.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Same salary schedule as the
Okay.
current one.
Got it.
All right, and then for the instructional, for number 1, where we are proposing, updating the salary schedule, what we're proposing is adding $500 to all base salaries. Number 2, that everyone would be credited, all eligible instructional bargaining unit employees will be credited with their 1 year of experience and will advance their step. Number 3, the one-time top step payment of $2,000. And number 4, all instructional employees shall receive a $1,500 supplement for the 24-25 school year to be paid in the first semester, first paycheck.
1,500.
Yes, so it'd be $500 to all base salaries.
and that 1,500 to be paid all at the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And then, of course, yeah, step movement, and then our folks at the top, one-time payment. And we're good with what we talked about at number 5, we'll list out the folks with the $750 for our licensed student services folks. And good with the student services folks that moved to step 20 through 25 with the $1,000, one-time $1,000 payment. Number 7, all the eligible SLPs who hold their Cs, one-time $1,500 supplement. And then the ESE payment for all the job code folks that we've identified, and the school psychologist, 1,500. National board mentors, 1,000. 4,500 for our national board renaissance and transformation folks, and advanced degree number 11, and for all folks that have an advanced degree. And then number 12 is the insurance premium, and number 13 is fingerprinting.
Want to make sure I'm understanding everything.
Okay.
So back to the ESP.
Yep.
That was a little more complicated.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you're proposing that ESP employees on step 1, step or pay grade? Steps,
So
right?
all employees that are on whatever their pay grade is,
Mhm.
on their levels 1 through 22 shall advance 2 steps.
1 through 22
Yeah.
would advance 2
Because
steps.
22, you'd go 23, 24, then you'd be at the top.
Right.
So those.
Number 2,
Mhm.
they would advance 1 step because they'd be going to the top.
Yep.
And that'd be, but then in addition, a one-time $400 payment.
Mhm.
Number 3, they're already at 23, they're already.
Yeah, we'd strike number 3 because
Strike
on the
3,
old one,
got it,
yeah.
okay.
then we'd go to number 4.
4, they're already at the top,
Mhm.
so you're requesting a top step payment of 1,900.
Mhm.
Okay, number 5, instead of what we had proposed with the $2,500 supplement, you're proposing the $2,000 supplement.
Mhm.
1,000 of it to be the first paycheck of the school year, the second half of it to be the first paycheck of the second semester.
Right. Yeah, we recognize that was increased by the board to 2,500, but again, see where we're going. We're trying to get that, we are trying to take that extra 500 that was on the 25
Mhm.
and put it into base salaries. So that's where we're going with that extra step.
Number 6,
Mhm.
to me, 6, 7, and 8 are no change.
Right,
Okay,
Yep.
I just want to make sure
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
because when you
yeah.
said
I
that, I
was
was a little bit
yeah, I was just reading
Making
through
sure
them,
that I
that they
wasn't
would just,
missing something.
And
they would
9
just
as
be
well.
regraded. by
Okay.
their- Yeah, 6, 7, 8,
Would be no
Yeah,
change
and
from what
9
we proposed.
exactly.
Okay,
As far as the regrading, we're not gonna.
right,
Yeah.
and they would just,
They
wherever
would
they
get all
are,
their,
they would be
yeah,
right.
it's like you
Okay.
apply the step movement
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
depending on where they are. And regrading.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions that we would need to know in order to cost it out or, okay,
And if-
okay,
And if we agree, I can get it typed, I can type it up and I've got it ready and just.
okay, nope, understood.
We-
Okay,
We do feel like if we are able to agree in principle, the dollars today, that we probably want to come back and kind of clean a lot of this other things, all these things up
Mhm.
at like another, one more session.
Yeah, because I think you guys are gonna research the RNs for the
Mhm.
overtime.
Right.
Yeah,
That's our thought.
Okay,
just,
understood.
I think we agree in this in principle, I think one more session, we could get it all tied up.
Understood. Okay. All right, we will,
However much time you need. I know we probably took a little longer than we
Yeah,
thought to.
Oh, that's okay.
all right, any thought on how long?
I would say probably 5.
Okay.
5 o'clock?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think we
Sorry.
can do it in
5
5
minutes.
minutes.
We're supposed to.
Yes, sir, yeah.
30 minutes. About 30.
I got you, I'm all right.
No, we need more than that, I can assure you.
I was just like,
I know.
Okay, so. This has been a long day, productive day. Again, I'm still trying to like tiptoe and not say the words recurring and non-recurring, like, okay, so, but I'm just, in all transparency, we've stretched like where we can go, with that based on a lot of uncertain factors, right? We still don't have our student counts, all those things, like we are super concerned about this uncertainty, you know, we're early, which is great. I love doing it early, but there is a little more uncertainty with some things at this time of year. But I think that's nothing that we can still overcome. We have to look at the whole organization, and that's not your concern, but we have to worry about, we have another bargaining unit that we have to bargain with, and we have to remember that we want to be, whatever decisions we make here can impact things that we do other places. So we have to be aware of that. Okay. So with that being said, very cryptic and very awkwardly said, but I'm gonna. So this is what we would like to propose. Let's start with instructional. Okay. Making sure I'm looking at the right one. All right, I'm just gonna go over kind of the key things that we have been kind of going back and forth with. So for number one, the instructional salary schedules, we would like to agree to the $500 to all steps on the instructional schedule. Even though we have some concerns about where that would go down the road, we do agree that that is 48,000, you know, I mean, it makes a difference, you know, $2.99 or $3, right? Like it's just 48,000 is a great starting point. It's something that I think we can be proud of. It keeps us more competitive with our surrounding districts. So we like that falls there, which is great. So we'd like to stick with that. The obviously credited 1 year of service, the top step payment, we've still on 2,000, okay. And then was it 4? Yes, okay, thank you. So you would propose 1,500? Yep, so we would like to agree to the 1,500. So that would be paid in the first paycheck of the first semester.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then if we can just, I'm just thinking, we can get that date from payroll, I think that would be helpful.
August 9th,
August 9th,
Yeah.
we can plug that in there.
I have that in my bag.
Perfect.
Okay, all right, moving
And
to,
everything else, good.
Yeah.
Well, and what we'll do.
there was nothing else that we
I
had.
think the only thing we have to do at number 5 is just
Yeah.
list that all.
Correct.
Well, I just want to tell you, thank you. Thank you for working with us on that. I think this is our 4th session and we have come a long way.
Yeah.
I think, and so I appreciate that.
Thank you. I concur. I feel the same way. All right, moving to our ESP schedule. This one, and honestly, it is a little more challenging because of the implications it can have with some other groups in our organization. So we have to be very fair with anything that we do that could be recurring. And as far as the recurring costs, we're regrading quite a few things on the support salary schedule. And because of that, we feel that the max that we can do is the 1 step. So we are proposing that we do the 1 step. We are also proposing that the top step payment match what instructional is. So instead of 1,900, we're proposing that the top step payment be 2,000. And we are proposing that the one-time supplement, it was 1,500 for instructional. We're proposing that it is 2,500 for support, 1,250 to be paid on that first check of the the August 9th check, and then $1,250 to be paid on the first check of the second semester.
Is that the one that's typically short, that first one? Cause that's the one we wanna target, is that one that, so we can,
We have flexibility with
We can
that.
verify.
Yeah, I mean,
just to
it,
be,
I know
you know
what
which one we're
you're trying to
talking about, right?
I do,
The
I
one
do.
that's covering-
Whichever one is short is the one that we would want to target for that $1,250. All of it, right?
I think
All the
so.
things that were kind of.
So that's the same as your last proposal, except you're just adding 500 to the longevity.
500
Cause
to,
your proposal.
not 500 actually, because you came back at 19.
Yeah, but I'm
So-
saying from your,
Correct, that
you
is
had
correct.
one step, the
Yep,
top step,
Yep.
1,500 and the $2,500 supplement.
that is correct. And what this does, when we've kind of mapped everything out, we believe it's a total compensation package of approximately $69 million. And again, we're doing like you are, like crunching numbers.
Yeah, so I wanna, so the question I have,
Mhm.
one step round generally, what does that typically cost? Just the one step payment,
For
just for ESP.
For
our
ESP?
support, Yeah.
Have that right here. On one of these pages.
Yeah,
All right, we have our current numbers are that one step for our paraprofessional bargaining unit is approximately 2.4 million. And for the ESP bargaining unit, it's approximately 700,000. Is that about what you have?
yeah, that sounds about right. I
Okay.
wanna ask then on the regrading,
Mm-hmm.
I have just kind of landed with nurses moving one grade somewhere in that $500,000 range. I haven't costed out, the ESE, ESP regrading. Do you have with one step in the regrade, do you have a estimate on what that would cost?
I don't have that broken down. I have it just what it was when they were regraded with the total steps, which is what I just gave you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it's tricky to kind of isolate that out.
It
because
is.
you gotta move them,
it
and
is.
It can be done, just takes longer than a 30-minute caucus.
Correct. And we have that, the nurses was a little more than we had it closer, they had it higher than that, but again, it's like isolating it because you're trying to look at the step and then
Yeah, and
also,
I've run it I've run it on different models of
Mhm.
multiple
Right.
steps or different. So I
Correct.
just kind of generally in my mind, I keep it around 500,000, but it could be less. I
Mhm.
think with one step, it's probably less. That would be my guess.
Okay.
And when we continue to add these, $500, to the top payment, I mean, that sounds like, wow, we've gone up another, so many $1 million, but it's not impacting a lot of folks. I have about 93 folks at the top of the ESP schedule. Folks that would be moving like one step or two steps, 12 people. So we're right about 100 people. So, this idea of, okay, we're not gonna give the step, but we're gonna put more money into longevity. It's really not,
understood.
it's not a heavy lift for the district on that. And again, I think we're gonna have to caucus on the ESP piece because, again, we've been consistent and clear that, just at least even since last year, that equalized pay thing is such a big deal. And I understand what we're doing on the one-time payment to help them at the holiday, but we've got to do more to get those base salary increases up. So I think where we're stuck is the step movement. I think, and this is just me kind of speaking off the cuff, a lot, the top payments, the one-time payments, but, one step is around $3 million. And we costed 3 steps at like 7.5. I guess I just don't understand how 2 steps can be done. So, let us caucus and
Mhm.
talk about it.
Yeah.
But I think we're very close on the ESP. It's just that's a real sticking point for us. I'm just gonna let you know. So we'll take about, if you can give us another 30 minutes
Okay.
and get back to you. So first of all, I just want to reiterate, thanks to your team and the board for the great movement that we've made. And I think this is good news because it's building on what we did last year, which we talked a lot about that. And we're making gains with when we're doing this and with our goals aligned to kind of get settlements done quicker so employees know we're planning for the year. So again, we agree in concept to the instructional, it's on the table for the instructional, and we'll come back and get that all cleaned up with, the little fixes to who's included in the student services list and some of those dates. When it comes to the ESP, we are gonna need some time. We're gonna have to, because we want to cost this out to ourselves, because that two-step is really important. I think that's where we're stuck, right? Like we've got the longevity payment, the one-time payment. I think we're right there. And again, where we're at is we really need that recurring base increase for our employees. So we're gonna look at that and we're gonna cost it out, and we may be able to work maybe something more creative out with the scale, but we've been clear about that from the beginning. So if the board can't agree to two steps, then we're gonna need to give us some time to come back.
Okay.
Um,
I know we've been doing these meetings together,
mhm,
but these are different bargaining units.
mhm.
So are we at a place where we're in a tentative agreement for instructional?
On the money piece,
Mhm.
yes.
Okay.
But before we actually
Mhm.
sign everything, I think we wanna just get it all and run the salary scales and actually have them, what are they gonna look like? And all of their alliterations before we actually sign off on them, because
Okay.
that's the part that's gonna have to go out for ratification, so employees see that. So I think, yes, in concept, what we've verbally said and kind of
Yeah.
jotted down, we're at tentative agreement on the instruction.
That's great news.
Yes, it
Yep,
is great
That
news.
is great news.
Yeah,
That's something to
absolutely.
celebrate. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. it is-
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
I didn't mean to downplay that.
No, I was like, oh, that doesn't sound very exciting.
No, I know, it is exciting, and I think, and I will say this, the comp time issue for our ESPs, huge win. It really is. It's hard because, we're thinking about money and
Mhm.
salaries, but that is also that's a
Right.
major impact on our folks to get that. That's gonna be more money for our folks.
It is.
So
It is.
I
And we're
really-
committed to
yes.
making that transition, and like I've mentioned, it's an unknown cost, right?
Yes.
And that's for our support employees, but
Yeah.
for the extra work they're doing, we are gonna have leaders that should be requesting that to be as overtime,
Right.
not as comp time. So
Right.
that is a cost and that is compensation.
Right.
It's just unknown compensation at
Yeah.
this time, right?
Yeah, so I think,
Okay.
again, I think we're very, very close, and there's probably a lot of parts of the ESP proposal that we could TA, it's just that steps.
Okay.
So we wanna look at that, and then again, that'll give us some time to a lot of things we've gone back and forth on, we've TA'd the grievance language for the instructional, but then we can type that up in the ESP and TA it, that way it's. So I think if we can set one more date, it'll give us time to get all those documents ready. I can even share them,
That would be
via Word
great.
doc, so you have them. Just so you know, because I think we've agreed in concept to a lot of stuff, it's just
we have.
working out some of the little bits of.
Absolutely. We want
language.
it all codified, written down, so it, and written where people understand it.
Right, and then let's just come back on another date for that.
We have a
ESP.
proposed date for you.
All right.
All right. Because you had mentioned we wanted to come back and finish up some of this language anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we wanted, like we said, if we are going to do these supplements on that first paycheck, which is what
Right.
we are
That's the
committed to
goal.
wanting to do,
Yeah.
we need to move quickly.
Yes.
Right?
Agreed.
So we were wondering if you are available on Tuesday at 2 p.m.
25th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay?
I would like to say a couple things.
2:00 here on the 25th.
Yeah, 2:00 here next Tuesday.
Double, triple checking the building.
If not, we can look at our
We
plans.
can see if we can change around. There is an event here on the fourth floor that starts at 4:30, but probably, I'll probably be here a little before that, so. Yeah. So let's agree to that time. Do
Okay.
You guys have space?
I can
Coming?
check,
Okay,
I can
so
check.
why don't you guys check and we'll
Okay.
agree, just
Mhm.
location to be determined.
Okay, got it.
2:00. 25th.
Maybe even silo bin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Brainstorming
yeah,
locations
okay.
that we might be able to ask if we're booked it, because ISC is a training hub right
Oh, yeah,
now,
yeah,
like it
yeah.
is.
Good.
I don't know that
Very-
we need that whole big,
No, yep,
so, okay, and we maybe will make it work, but we'll
okay.
get back to you.
Let me know. Yeah, because anyone that's working summer and that would need to be released, that's a quick turnaround for us to let their principals know, so
For sure.
just let us know. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say a couple
yes.
things that, I've gotten to see negotiations from many different levels in this district as a rank and file member to a board member to a bargaining team member, and now in this role. It's clear that the district is listening to things that we're saying and things that we're asking for. We're not getting everything we asked for, that's clear. But at least we're moving closer to that. I would like to think that what we're about to do is something that's historic, which is finishing up a negotiation before people come back, and one that we can be proud that we've made. And I think that history is going to show that this is the way that we should do it. And, those unknowns that we speak of, and they're real. I think that we're going to find out that they're not really obstacles at all, that ultimately kids are going to be in our public schools. And when we can staff the public schools by getting this done earlier, then that's going to be a benefit for all of our students in our community. So I want to be clear about that. We are so super close to finishing this, and I'm very optimistic that we
Yeah.
can. And again, the one thing that we're really trying to solve for is that we feel strongly that those employees, our lowest paid employees, we need to do something more there. So that way we can get them out of there. So that way they don't have to worry about equalized pay. And really, even when we get them out of that, there's still more work that needs to be done. And we feel very, very strongly about that. And you guys have been listening to us. And I just want to say that even the tentative agreements that we have, I think are going to pay great dividends for the district, for our teachers, and ultimately for the students. So I want to thank all of you guys for where we're at. And I'm optimistic about where we need to go. And we got the ball on the 1 yard line. Let's score this touchdown and then make this the bargaining session that will become hallmark in how we go about doing this. And frankly, you guys as negotiators are doing a great job. So thank you for all that.
Thank you.
So with that, we look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday.
All right.
And let's
Thank you,
wrap this up.
everyone.
All right. Thank you.